From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan Hajavandi alongside Corey Clark. We work for Warchant.com. Use the promo code Plot Twist. Don't use the promo code Warchant30. Use the promo code Beat Miami because Corey stepped up to the plate to help everybody out at home. This is for new annual subscribers. You will get 25% off the annual subscription price. All right, so it's about $100 a year, so 25% off, just like that. And you'll get a $25 e-card to Garnet and Gold. So this isn't like the voucher you get for Zaxby's where I have to mail it to you physically. You'll get a promo code in your email, a $25 e-card to Garnet and Gold, and 3 more months added on top of it. So you're getting 15 months and a $25 e-card to Garnet and Gold.
I mean, that's as good as it gets. That's as good as it gets, folks. What are you waiting on?
Beat Miami is the promo code. Use it while supplies last. And that's a serious thing. There'll be a cap. I don't know exactly the actual number, but at some point we can't do this because then our P&Ls don't match up. I think that's what they say in accounting, right? P's and L's or something.
Right.
Like
Sure.
Also, don't forget, Friday night, Corner Pocket, right? Is that the place called?
Mm-hmm.
Corner Pocket,
yep.
Yeah. Nice little fundraiser for the Bar None Foundation. Celebrity bartending for Casino Night, hosted by Warchant.com. William Floyd, Bar None, as well as Peter Warwick. He'll be one of the guest bartenders. Casino Night. So I'm imagining people pay money, and we give them fake money, and then whoever...
And then you get prizes and stuff.
Yeah. So money goes to a good cause. 7 to 11 p.m. at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill off Appalachia Parkway. Corey and I apparently will be tasked with giving away shirts to subscribers from 6 to 7. So you'll have to have your mobile device on you, and you'll have to be logged into your Warchant account and show us that you're actually a current active subscriber. And then we'll give you a T-shirt. You don't have to worry about nailing your over-under. And I think also Jeff Cameron will be doing a live remote from 3 to 6 p.m. there as well on Friday. This Friday before the Miami game. Lastly, and surely not least, because we love the folks at Zaxby's.
Lastly but not leastly.
Okay. That works too, I guess. Our guy, Mr. D, doing us a good job over at Zaxby's. I finally went and tried out one of the new specials, Corey. It was funny. We joked about, aren't all the great sandwiches at Zaxby's on Texas toast? Not the Chipotle sandwich. The Chipotle sandwich was absolutely delicious. It was on a regular, I guess, I don't want to say regular because then that makes it sound like it's not special, but it was on a golden toasted bun.
Okay.
Monterey Jack cheese. It comes with jalapenos, but I'm like, can you please, hold the jalapenos on it? Like, absolutely. A lot of garlic aioli on it, lettuce, tomato, and, of course, the hand-breaded filet chicken breast. The Southwest Chipotle filet sandwich. It was delicious, man.
Good, buddy. Good.
They keep crushing it, as you would say.
Yeah, you'd think Zaxby's would just rest on its laurels and be like, look, we got the best chicken fingers known to man. We don't need to even screw with anything else. But they're always giving you more options, folks. That's the thing about Zaxby's. They don't rest on their laurels. They're always trying to get better. 1% better every day.
Now the question is whether I go for the Smokehouse Cheddar Barbecue Filet later this week.
Well, that's for another
or
show.
Save it for...
either way, it's for another show.
Right. So I don't know what we'll do. Also, I saw somebody tweeted at us, I think, what's his name? He's such a good dude. Marlon. Yeah, Marlon. He's from South Florida. Apparently he's going to come up for the Miami game. I think I owe you Zaxby's, so let me know what gate you're going to be at and if you want chicken fingers or a Zal. Like, he was literally going to drive an hour and a half to grab Zaxby's one day. I'm like, hey, man, I appreciate it. But just,
You going to hand deliver him Zaxby's?
No, I'm going to give him one of the
cards,
the prizes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. I was going to say that's a little too much. That's going above and beyond.
You tweeted out that Willie, in his post-game comments, was imploring the fan base to turn out, turn up actually, not just turn out, but turn up, as the children used to say in 2016. And I saw Marlon tweeted and replied to you that I'll be there with a cold one in hand, so he'll be up here.
Good.
It's Miami week, man. The flag is flying high above the Al Dunlap practice complex.
I didn't look. Was it there?
It's there.
Okay.
It's flying.
Campo got it up. That's good.
Miami week.
Yeah, Yeah, Miami week, 2 4-4 football teams.
Let's do it.
I was going to write about this. Me and Ira and I were talking. I don't know how the correct way to say that.
I like Ira and I.
Ira and I were, were talking. You wouldn't say that. At lunch on Monday after Willie's press conference, and I told him I was going to write or thinking about writing and why this is such an important game, and like just looking at the state of the two programs. They're both 4-4. Miami's on their sixth coach since Butch Davis, maybe?
Coker.
Was
Al
it Shannon, Golden, Rick, now Diaz, so fifth. Florida State's on their second. And, I guess the fact that they're on Manny Diaz just reinforces my notion of the last decade and a half is that I don't know that I don't think Miami's ever getting back.
Right.
I just think the stadium being 45 minutes away, no real facilities, it is hard in this day and age to compete with the Alabamas, Clemsons, Georgias, blah, blah, blah of the world when you have no facilities. I don't care what kind of talent you have in your hometown. They want to go play at those places. I just don't think Miami's ever going to be back. Florida State can get back. So that to me is why, Miami's a cautionary tale of, hey, man, if you keep firing coaches, what changes? They're on their fifth coach since Butch Davis, and they're the same program. They're a middling, average, 6-6, 7-5 program. But I think that's what they're destined to always be. They might have a few, come-up years where they get 10 or 11 wins. They luck into a few, like they did a few years ago. They lucked into a few wins.
They were ranked like third in the nation on the last week of the regular season a few years ago.
Was that 17?
Yeah.
And you saw that. They barely beat this Florida State team. Right. They needed a miracle to beat Georgia Tech. That was smoke and mirrors. So they might get lucky every few years, but this is what they are. This isn't what Florida State is. So that's why I think when you say, okay, well, Willie deserves all this time and this game isn't really that important for his tenure, man, it is really important for his tenure because, there's a chance if they lose to Miami, a 4-4 Miami team, who's, like we talked about yesterday, is very close to being 8-0, also very close to being 2-6. If they lose to a 4-4 Miami team, I don't think they're going up there and beating Boston College. So now you're another 5-7 season with losses to all your rivals again. Now they weren't blowouts. A lot of those losses weren't blowouts like they had been, but they're still losses. You have to win this game. You have to. I'm making it all right on this game.
Ooh,
I really am. I don't know how you could. I don't know how you sell it. That okay, we are improving if you lose at home to Miami. A Miami team where the coach has already said they're rebuilding. But also I think Florida State fans, it might seem unfair that, okay, well, we're just going to rush and do what Miami did or Tennessee did and hire all these coaches over and over again. Well, man, Miami and Tennessee are in different places than Florida State. Florida State needs competence because they have the history and they have the tradition. And they need I think Florida State is quicker to getting back to greatness than a Miami or a Tennessee. I think Florida State can make that Florida-like move. It really only should take 2 years to really get back, not back to winning national championships, to back to being in conversations, back to being ranked, back to playing important games. And so I guess my point is Florida State fans shouldn't judge their program on the same level as Miami because they're better than Miami right now. I think they're in a better place. I think it's easier to win here because of the facilities, because of the investments they've made financially. I assume that football building is going to get built at some point. That's all stuff that they have that Miami doesn't. Plus an on-campus stadium that's really pretty and you don't have to share it with an awful pro football team. So that reason is why 2 years probably isn't fair. I'm not saying it's fair, but it's also realistic to think that if he loses this game against another rival, man, that's on the table. It's on the table. That's how important this game is. I don't know that if he can lose this game, I don't know that he can even get to 2021 or 2020.
Man, I was like, what are we going to talk about today? And you just came strong, and I've got nothing to add on top of it. Like, you're stuck with just a terrible co-host today. I apologize.
Well, because I'm going to write about a column about the state of the two programs and why Florida State fans should expect more. You can look at Miami and go, yeah, they're 4-4 too. Well, yeah, but they've been like this perpetually for a decade and a half. This is what they are.
I don't think a lot of fans measure up Florida State to what Miami does. I don't think maybe they take some solace. At least we don't suck as bad as Miami, but I don't think anybody's
but that's
chasing Miami.
Sure, but when you're trying to judge where you are as a program
and maybe where this rivalry is and why this rivalry isn't what it used to be.
Rivalry.
What it wasn't. It's not what it used to be. Well, you can say, yeah, well, both programs aren't any good right now, but one is a lot closer to being good. It takes,
not closer, but has a lot more advantages, opportunities to make it happen.
Yeah, and that's the difference.
Right.
That's the difference to me, and that's why you can't accept 4-4 or losing to a 4-4 Miami team. You just can't. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't really written the column yet. As you can tell, it's a lot of moving parts in it.
I should help you out.
I'm trying to talk it into existence and figure out what my point is. But yeah, the main point is you need to beat Miami.
But then what happens if you lose to Boston College, though? Then it renders.
You still beat Miami, and you're still going to a bowl.
I think they should beat Boston College, right? Boston College got annihilated by Clemson. Was it 51-7 or something like that? 52-7?
Yeah, but I mean,
it was ugly.
Sure,
it'd be tough to get off the mat. Even 2 weeks to get off the mat for that. But it's supposed to be. It's going to be red bandana game apparently. Noon kickoff. Boston College they announced.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. That's
no,
good.
I knew it was noon kickoff. I didn't know it was the red bandana game.
Saw a couple of fans lamenting it on the Tribal Council on Warchant.com.
It's a noon game. You know what I mean? Like, how many people are going to be there? 22,000?
Well, if it's a red bandana game, they'll roll out thick for that.
Maybe. We'll see. They didn't. I mean, I was there that Friday night. I think it was the red bandana game, the 14-0 slugfest from 15, where the offense scored on the first drive of the game. And
beautiful. That was probably the best opening drive Florida State had since the Boise State game this past week.
And it did nothing the whole rest of the way. Even with Dalvin Cook.
Was it Jalen who scooped and scored?
Yeah. So they won 14-0. But it might have been the last shutout here at Old Florida State. That place wasn't electric. I don't think it's not going to add anything to it. I mean, it's a great cause and as a great person, and read up on it if you don't know what we're talking about. But I don't think that's going to make it like a devil's pit to go in there and a snake pit to go in there and have to play.
I feel like then we shut out Chattanooga.
Maybe. When was that?
Like 15. Actually, it might have been the same season.
All right.
Maybe it was 16.
Well, Charles Kelly just
I think posted
those shutouts jerseys. Like he's Walter Johnson.
I feel like we did.
All right.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, the game is big, man. It's big. It has more. Well, it's kind of ironic, right? It has more juice. Well, not juice, but implications. At least more powerful implications. Not for maybe the whole entire team or the fan base, but for like the actual coach.
Yeah.
Bobby never went into a game where it's like you have to win this one game. I don't think Jimbo ever went into a game where it's like you have to win this game, or else you're probably going to lose a lot of. You're going to lose the remaining balance of the confidence and the equity you have in the fan base. This is that game. And I don't know if you're Willie, I guess you kind of maybe take that proposition. It's at home. You figured out something different with your running back, a.k.a. the QB3 offense,
right?
As he coined it. It could be worse. It's not like he's got to go into the swamp and win that game to salvage everything. Like this is a reasonable ask of your head coach.
Well, exactly right. That's it. It's not like you had to beat Clemson or Florida. We don't expect that. That's not happening this year. But you should be able to beat this Miami team because 4 other teams have, including an awful Georgia Tech team who lost at home to, I think, a FCS school.
Citadel.
Yeah, not even a good FCS school. They lost at home to. So you should be able to beat this Miami team. You just should. And I'm interested to see if this team comes out and panics and plays scared, which I think they have at times.
I don't think so.
Or if they come out and just, play balls to the wall, as I like to say, the whole time.
For his shortcomings or whatever you want to characterize him as, I feel like the team does come out and play well in the first half.
Well, they have this year, yeah, for sure.
So I don't think that'll be I don't think they'll play tight. I don't think the team will play scared or anything like that. I do wonder though if Miami is able to, I don't know how much of the game plan for Miami is going to be like, listen, man, these guys are really good when they, these first opening drives against teams, they move the ball on everybody except for Clemson. And heck, they moved the ball on Clemson. They just turned the ball over. At least Hornibrook moved the ball on Clemson in his first drive, right?
They got a couple first downs. They didn't do much.
Well, they got to they crossed the 50, man. That's a small victory for this program right now.
Sure.
I just wonder how much sort of stress he'll put on his team of just don't let them score in the first quarter, and we'll probably win the game. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, that's something I would sell if I was him because Florida State has looked really good in the first half of games and not as well. Coming out of halftime. So, I don't think they'll come out tight or scared or anything like that. But if Miami can actually stifle this offense in those first couple drives, then it's going to be a really interesting game. I think right now it's a 5.5 point line right now.
Seems big to me. It started at 6.5. Florida State was favored, and that seemed really big. Even 5.5 to me seems big. I mean, I guess that's just a touchdown, but I just expect this to come down to the final few minutes of this game.
I do
because
too.
They do. All of Miami's games have.
Yeah, I do too. But it could be one of those games where it's like a 24-20 game going to the fourth quarter, and then that ends up being a good line, and that's a one-possession game, and that's about kind of par for the course for this rivalry, or what have you. So. We'll actually have Noah Mindell from Kane Sport on tomorrow to give us a little breakdown of the Miami team. He, ironically enough, is a proud, fierce, loyal Florida State graduate.
Oh, okay.
I worked with him in Alabama. He's currently down in Miami. He does some kind of moonlighting and helps out with Kane Sport down there. So
he's a spy.
Pretty much.
Okay,
but
good.
If you're a Miami fan, hate listening to this. He's a total objective journalist and loves what you guys are doing down there and roots like heck for you every single week.
Sure. Wears his orange and green probably to bed.
Yeah. So, it's here we are, Corey. It's Miami week, so it's going to be a big one. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Wake Up War Champions presented by Zaxby's.
At Birch Orthodontics, they know what a difference a beautiful and healthy smile can make in your life.
They take the time to get to know you and perform a thorough exam so that they can make an individualized treatment plan just for you or your child.
They use the latest technology in a warm and comfortable environment. So whether you are interested in traditional metal or clear braces or clear aligners, they can give you the smile you deserve. They know investing in your smile means investing in your future. And at Birch Orthodontics, they are honored to be a part of your smile journey.
Serving Tallahassee for 16 years and supporting the Noles since forever. Check them out at birchorthodontics.com. BURCH orthodontics.com. Welcome back. It's Wake Up War Champ presented by Zaxby's. All right, so we spoke to Willie on Monday. Later today, as you're listening to this on Tuesday, we will speak to Kendall and offensive players, select offensive players. Maybe we should actually email and get some guys out there that we specifically would like to talk to. Good, quick thinking out of Willie. I think when you asked him, we call it the wild cam. What do you call it with Cam playing quarterback? And he was like, I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, Corey just kind of asked him like a funny loosen up question. And Willie's like, man, I don't have an answer for this. And,
right.
But he thought, he quick thinking on his feet. So we call it QB3, which I don't think is the best thing. But, it was, hey, that's a really good, did you study for your quiz? No, but C?
Yeah. No,
Nailed
that's
it.
a B. That's a, yeah. That's a, yeah.
I'm saying like multiple choice.
You just guess C. Yeah.
Christmas tree.
He crushed that. He did a good job with that. QB3 is not bad. And then at the end, Ira asked him if he was going to name a starting quarterback, and he said, yeah, Cam Akers.
Ira's like, you're going to name a quarterback.
Well,
that's
right.
the thing. So he could have named it. He could have said Jordan Travis. He could have said Alex Elisami.
Oh, right, sure.
Just name a quarterback. He could have said Joe Montana.
Yeah. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there.
Quarterback on my team.
Yeah.
Tighten up, Ira. No, I'm kidding. Ira carried that entire day. I just can't. There's nothing to ask him, man. I can't play ball with Willie, and it's not I got nothing to animus or anything, but like he doesn't want to. There's certain questions that he's more comfortable talking and wading into waters. But man, the only questions of relevance to me is kind of like what continues to be your motivation at quarterback, and his answer is going to continue to be whoever gives us the best opportunity to win games. So he's defining a word using the word in the definition, kind of a thing,
Well, sure, but I also don't think that makes them any different than 95% of football coaches.
No, I think they would give like, hey man, why did you decide to go with Kyle over Emery? And Kyle's just practicing better. We like what we see from Kyle. There's a couple things that he's able to do better. You have to specific. I don't want to be like,
But then what's the point of that answer? It's the same thing. You're not getting a real answer, right?
No, are.
It's just coach speak, one way or the other. But yeah, so he did say that he did like they thought Hornibrook gave him the best chance to win in that game,
whatever that means, compared to what James does.
And he would not really name a starter for the Miami game. But
why would we expect?
We wouldn't expect it to be Blackman. The only thing I can think is that I do think there's a chance that Hornibrook could really struggle against this defense because I don't know that they're going to be able to block them. They're not going to be able to block them. And I think they will go to the wild cam a good amount. And I think Cam will throw some passes out of it too. I just don't think you saw it against Clemson. They faced one elite defense this year and did diddly poo against it. had 60 yards at the half.
On the road, though.
I mean, but
a little
still,
better.
sure, but it's still Clemson's defense is really good. It's not 60 yards and a half good. But you just could not block them at all, and the quarterbacks panicked. And you were facing a similar defense this game. Not as good, but pretty close. A reasonable facsimile. And so I wonder, I just don't know if you can do it with your traditional stuff consistently and move the ball against these guys. So I do think they'll go to a even more wild cam than we saw against Syracuse, which was 13 plays.
Man, 59-7 was a Clemson win over Boston College.
I think Boston College completed 6 passes in that game. And the game they won the week before, Ira said they completed 6 passes. So it's gonna be hard. I feel like it's gonna be hard for them to beat Florida State if they complete 6 passes.
Well, that's a good thing. So that's bowl.
Sure, but yeah,
beat Miami's bowl eligibility. Shoot, man, 8 wins is on the table, right?
It is, yeah, because you can win your bowl game. Yeah. I mean, it's still
Splendid.
That's just it, man. There is a possibility of still having, when you look back at the totality of the season and go, gosh darn, 8-5 ain't too bad when you come from 5-7. That's not too bad, and legitimately, we could have had 10 wins if a couple breaks come this way. I see what you're doing, Willie. I see things starting to take off. But if you lose to Miami, there's a darn good chance you finish 5-7. And then you're 10-14 in 2 years, and a program that hadn't missed a bowl since Ronald Reagan's first year in office will now have missed the bowl 2 years in a row. That's a really hard sell. That's why this game is really, really important. I really do think that. I mean, I know I've said it before how important these games are, and they really are. When you keep losing games, every game is magnified, and this one's as magnified as it could be, even for 4-4 middling Miami, because it is a rivalry, and the guy you're replacing did beat his rivals all the time, and for you to come in and immediately go 0 if you want to count Clemson, 0-6 in your 6 rivalry games, with a few of those being blowouts. That's a bad look. A bad look. One you might not be able to recover from.
I think we need to use a different term than what's your record in rivalry games, because I don't consider Clemson a rival the same way I do Florida and Miami.
Sure. So even if you take them completely off the table and say that doesn't matter, you would go 0-4 in your first 2 seasons against rivalries. Your rivalry when Jimbo was 16-2 against them? I don't remember. Did Miami he was 7-1 against? Yeah. In Florida he was 7-1, so 14-2. Man, yeah, that guy goes 14-2 and didn't do it with some great. Some of those teams weren't very good. He went 14-2. You go 0-4. Now, that 2011 season was a disappointment for Florida State. It really was.
Absolutely.
But you get some goodwill when you beat both Miami and Florida in that season, and that's what he did. 2017,
swamp,
even
man.
2017, his last year, he beat Florida. Now, it was an awful Florida team. He didn't have to play this group, which for whatever reason is good, but still, that matters. 14-2 against your rivals matters if people are on the fence about you. And if people are on the fence about you, 0-4 will push them to the other side real quick. You can't. You just gotta win it. You gotta win it, Willie. I know you listen to this show. Win the game. Do whatever it has to take.
What's the roadmap to a win then? Can Florida State piece together spurts of previous games and that can let them win, or do they have to find something? Do we need to see something almost different to a certain degree from Florida State that will allow them to win this game?
No, your defense has to play well. I don't expect the offense. Maybe 20 points. Maybe.
Wow, really?
I think Miami's
to 20. You think it is?
Maybe 27, somewhere in there. They're not getting a 30 against this team, I don't think, unless there's a pick six or a special teams touchdown. I mean, they did score 27 against them last year, and that's the worst offense we've ever seen. So something like that. I think you get in the mid-20s, high 20s, you'll win this game because Miami's offense isn't very good. But if your defense plays well, if your defense can build on what it did, really against Wake too, honestly, at least against the run, and then what it did against Syracuse for the first 3 quarters. I think I read Ira's column that I think in Syracuse's final 3 drives, they had 208 yards and 2 touchdowns. In every drive before that, they had a total of 150 yards and 3 points.
Man, I thought the defense looked really pretty good.
Pretty good. So going, if the defense plays well, doesn't give up big plays, which they typically don't, and can hold Miami to just a couple of touchdowns at best, you should win that game. That to me is, I know that's easy to say. It's just, hey, defense, don't let them score. But that's the path to victory. You got to pressure that kid, especially if it's the
either of them pressure that.
But Perry's a different kid, man. Like, he just doesn't get sacked for some reason. The other kid will wear sacks like it's his job, and he also can be pressured into big time mistakes. And that's what if you can get to him early and make him make some bad decisions where he gets rattled, because he was rattled against Virginia Tech and they had to bench him because he was just throwing picks to everyone. If you can do that and get a couple of quick turnovers and convert those into points, that might just be enough for you, I think.
Can we see, does Jacob Pugh have any eligibility left? Maybe have him come and ragdoll quarterback first play of the game?
When did he do that?
16, block at the rock. Like, he freaking concussed
Oh, that's
Kaya.
right. Yeah, that's right. That kid
Kaya.
wasn't the same since after that, yeah.
I mean, the absolute first play of the game comes off the edge. Boom. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Janaris?
Yeah. Janaris, yeah, that's on you,
man.
buddy. That's on you. You got to start concussing people.
Take people's quality of life from them. Willie did mention that he kind of went back to a question that he'd been asked the week prior about not getting to the quarterback, because I don't think they had any tackles. I don't know if they had any tackles for loss, but they didn't have any sacks on.
Yeah, I think they had 2 tackles for loss.
And was saying that it just wasn't part of the game plan. And he's kept talking about how great this or not great, but how well this defense plays when they're aggressive, and that's what he thought was the difference against Syracuse. And he asked them to be aggressive, or Harlan asked this defense to be aggressive against Syracuse to dial things up and take some more chances, I guess. Would you be more of a sit back, fill your gap, don't surrender the big play thing against Miami, or should the defense try to actually go out there and man, we're not going to let you keep wearing the turnover chain here. Like, we're gonna wear, we don't have anything to wear, but we're going to create the turnovers this time around.
Yeah, I wouldn't sit back. They don't do that well. I thought the game plan against Wake Forest wasn't terrible. I mean, they did stop the run, which is what everything they do is predicated upon. It's just that they couldn't guard that kid in the first half of the game, and that got them whatever it was, 12 points. Was just they weren't in cover Surratt. Miami doesn't have a guy like that. But yeah, man, I think you do what you did against Syracuse. They were blitzing from every angle. A lot of different kids. The problem I have with some of their blitzes is they seemingly start in the end zone. Like, they'll have kids blitz from literally 25 yards away.
No, not that far away.
When you take in the distance of where they are on the field
to the quarterback.
Okay. Not that they're 25 yards behind
the line
of scrimmage,
okay.
Just where they are on the field, the hash. Yeah. It's probably 20 yards you're asking a kid to run. And it just, to me, makes no sense, because you're never going to get there.
Right.
You're not going to get there in time. All it does is show the quarterback, who's not seeing things real well, okay, well, I see that safety coming from all the way over here. I know I got man-to-man on that side of the field now. It's just that's a pointless blitz. It literally is just taking a guy off the field for no reason. But I'm not going to complain too much about the way they played defense these last 2 weeks. They just got to keep doing that, man. You've got 3 good defensive linemen. Hopefully they can dominate the line of scrimmage and not let that Miami running back get going. And you got to rattle that quarterback. I think he has a chance to be pretty good. I don't think he's very good right now.
Their offensive line is quite.
It's not great. No,
well.
It's better than Florida State's. They just don't collectively play very well together, or they haven't. But then they played Pitt, I think, and Pitt leads the nation in sacks, and they gave up 1 sack. I think that's what the stat I saw was 1 or 2.
They led the nation in sacks.
Yeah. And they only got to Miami 1 time. Now they hit him a lot, but he was good. He was pretty good at getting rid of the ball. This kid isn't that good at getting rid of the ball.
I was going to actually try to look up some stats, maybe pull up some grades, but you stop your thought.
I stopped my thought. Sorry.
Look it up. I do wonder if Miami would actually turn the tables and try to bring out their own Wildcat, because that worked out well for Wake Forest. I mean, Wake Forest couldn't run, but that was the difference in the game. I mean, I know the slow start from the defense didn't help things out, but Florida State went into half up against Wake Forest.
Yeah.
But Wake Forest finally found they got that Cade Carney kid or whatever, just kept running right through them. And that was kind of the difference. So I think
that was the only way they could pick up first downs late in the game. Is that?
Yeah. I think that's, and that's always been the emphasis, right, has been to stop the run. So I think if Florida State can actually prevent Miami from running the ball well, Captain Obvious sort of stuff, that'll be the sort of road path to success. But offensively, I don't know, Matt. I don't feel like 24 is enough.
Well, then your defense has let you down. Because I think if you look back at Miami's games, I think 24 would have been enough to beat all of them.
Talking about this season or
this season? Yeah, I think 24 points would have been enough to win almost every game Miami has played. Like Central Michigan held them to 13, right?
Something gross.
Or 16. Georgia Tech, I think they maybe got in the 20s, but it was in overtime. Yeah, man, you can't. If you give up more than 24 points, you're probably going to lose the game, and you deserve it. So, when it's two mediocre teams with two average quarterbacks, it all comes down to turnovers and mistakes, man. Just limit it. Penalties, too. Just limit that nonsense. By the way, I thought that was an interesting little conversation with Willie at the press conference when I asked him about how mad he got on that kickoff return.
A bunch of people have tweeted at us and said that apparently Derek Brooks also noticed it. I don't know if that's like a joke or I'm not able to pick up the joke well, but apparently
noticed that there are only 10 guys on the field. Oh, yeah. Maybe. So I asked Willie in a polite way because I think it is a little insight into his personality. Maybe his team is up 35-10. His team has never been up 35-10 since he's been here. He's not even used to he had a 32-point lead at one point. That's something that had never happened here. So it's not like he's used to this. And then Syracuse scores, a meaningless touchdown in the fourth quarter. Florida State has those 10 guys on the field for the kick return. And Willie loses his mind. Like you said, he grabs his play sheet. He tries to throw it down. He's screaming at Snyder and then continues to glare at him like well after the fact. Like he was mad. He was mad. And I asked him about it. I was like, look, man, you had a 25-point lead, but you only had 10 guys on kickoff return, and you got really angry. And he said he got, emotionally hijacked? Was that his phrase? Yeah. It was emotionally hijacked. And he said it a couple of times. And he's like, yeah, those are the details. He goes, we'd worked on it all week in practice, players and coaches. And then we get out there and we have 10 guys on the field. And he goes out, and I was emotionally hijacked. And if it happens again, I'll be emotionally hijacked again. Like, we can't do that, which is good to see, right? In the sense that, he's not just, okay, we won the game, look at me, I'm going to bathe in glory. Not that he should at 4-4 anyway, but he really is in the fourth quarter of a game that's well out of reach. He cares enough to lose his mind on something like that. So it really does bother him, which is step one. Step two is fixing it, obviously. But step one is we know that it really bothers him, which is a good thing.
Well, I think it always did bother him. We just didn't see reactions from him.
I think when you watched the team last year, so much stuff happened so many times that you're like, man, if it really bothered you, this wouldn't happen. At some point, it would not happen. Either somebody would be fired, you would lose your mind and start screaming at people in the middle of a game. It just happened too much for it to seem like it really, really bothered him. Because at some point, you got to fix it. It's your job. You can't just say, well, man, this sucks. I wish they'd stop doing that. You would fix it. And so I didn't see those kind of outbursts a lot last year. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this year, even in a 35-10 game, he gets as mad as he's ever been on the sideline at Florida State, in my opinion, just from being in the, 200 feet away, 200 feet high. That to me was something different. I'm like, okay, man, good.
Only
good.
About 100 feet high.
You think?
I think isn't a story 10 feet and we're on the 9th floor? Maybe.
You think we're only 100 feet up there? Man, it feels like we're right next to the sun, especially for those flyovers. It's a good one, right? It was a good one, especially the one like 30 minutes before the game when they were just doing the.
It was so loud, yeah.
Yeah, I guess they were doing a test run to see if the stadium was still there. I don't know why because they came from another direction even, or maybe that plane was late getting to where he was supposed to be to get in formation. So yeah, if you weren't there 30, 35 minutes before the game, one of those jet fighter planes that was used in the flyover flew over the stadium going the other way, and it was really unexpected and really loud. That thing was moving.
Miami only had 208 yards of offense against Pitt.
You see what I mean? 10 of their points came on
one turnover, though. Pitt had 3 turnovers.
Well, that was the difference. And 2 of those turnovers were deep inside Pitt territory, and that's how they got their first 10 points.
2 for 13 on third down, Miami.
Yeah, man, they're not good offensively. You have to win this game. You can't let this slappy offense come in here. I know they've got an elite defense, but their offense is really bad. You need to win this game, man. You got to win this game.
They only have 2 guys in the green when it comes to offensive grading. Jaron Williams is graded out at 80.3, which is by far the highest.
Wow, for the season?
No.
Oh, for that game. Yeah.
And then it dropped down to 68.8 was their wide receiver who caught the touchdown. Meanwhile, everybody else was either in yellow or orange.
And Jaron Williams played 2 series.
16 plays.
Yeah. So it probably would have gone down the more he played. But credit to that kid. After getting benched, he led them on a game-winning drive against a very good defense, or a pretty good defense anyway, in the final few minutes. So good for him.
I don't want to say it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. These 2 teams are so similar, it feels like.
Yeah, and I liked it. I do think that the presence of Miami and the way their defense acts, because they act like a 2001 Miami defense.
Right.
I think that will spark the Florida State defense to answer with that kind of attitude.
And the fan base.
That too. And I'm not talking
attendance.
about the attitude about, flipping a U down or waving incomplete when a kid drops a pass. I'm talking about going and hitting the crap out of whoever has the ball. I do think Florida State's defense, watching what Miami is doing, will spark them to answer in kind. Clemson, it didn't really happen that much.
Yeah.
Florida State didn't really take that challenge. But I think with Miami, they will take that challenge. And I think it'll be a intense game, man. I really do think that.
Yeah, I think they're competing for the Coastal still. I think
everybody is. Yeah, I think everybody is. Yeah.
So yeah, they've got a lot to play for. But yeah, it just seems like these 2 teams are so similar. They came off an absolutely brutal loss the week before the Pitt game. They had to go on the road and play Pitt, and they actually kind of bucked up and played.
That was a really good showing by them. Yeah, because they lost to. I mean, losing to Georgia Tech is a really bad look at home. Yeah. And then not that would matter. You play them in a parking lot, you should beat them. And then to go at Pitt, they were 5-2. I think they'd won 4 or 5 in a row. One of the last loss was the ridiculous loss at Penn State, who's really good by a touchdown.
Took down the second best team in the state of Florida.
Yeah, sure, all that. So for them, for Miami to go up there and win that game was an impressive thing to see.
They got confidence.
They do. Weirdly, after beating Pitt, they have confidence. They do, but Florida State should have some confidence too. I mean, they almost beat Wake. They did beat Syracuse, so you got to have a little
dominated
confidence
Syracuse. Solid win over Syracuse.
2 straight 18-point wins at home. You don't see that around here very often. So
put that in your pipe, Jimbo.
Yeah.
Last thing I'll ask you, then we'll wrap up. So, what would be your biggest, what gives you the most trepidation about this game offensively? Would it be the fact that Cam won't be able to run well, like the run blocking won't be sufficient, he won't be able to run well and give some semblance of balance? Because you've talked about if Florida State's got to drop back and throw the ball, it's just not going to work out well. Or is it just that sort of that pass rushes offensive line not protecting Hornibrook, and then the inevitable sacks, negative plays, maybe him turning the ball over?
Yeah, this offense it's not going to get a first down if they get sacked at any point in a drive. They can't.
I don't know. They've had a couple third.
I mean, I just don't think against this one, this particular defense. All that second 18 is just going to lead to a turnover.
Right.
And you just can't turn the ball over. That's how Miami's going to beat you. Is you turn the ball over.
That's how they beat them last year.
Yeah, exactly right. You just can't turn the ball over against this team. You can't. Whatever it takes. If it means, and I say that Cam's had 2 critical fumbles this season, but if it takes run the ball 35 of the first 44 plays, you just can't turn the ball over. It's got to be quick. With Hornibrook, it's going to be. It has to be quick. He can't just throw it downfield, 25, 30 yards. So it's got to be safe passes and quick passes, and it's got to be a lot of Cam and Laburn. That's the deal, man. But Miami also knows that, and I think they're well coached, and they're really physical, and they got some NFL dudes on that defense, and they play really hard, and they're really confident. And that's what gives you a lot of pause is how well Florida State's offense that has only faced one good defense this season and did not handle that at all, how will they respond to this challenge? Because in recent years, it has usually been an abomination when they face good defenses.
Do you think they know that, though? You said, because I haven't seen Kendall change anything in terms of aggression. I've never seen a kind of, hey man, we're just going to throw 3-yard hitches and they continue to kind of take not shots downfield, but there's nothing conservative about the way he throws the ball. It feels like
no, and there really wasn't even all that much on Saturday. Even though the one thing Syracuse could do is rush the passer coming into that game. That's what they did well. So it didn't look like he changed it that much, except for the wild cam. That was a huge wrinkle into the offense. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't think he'll change it completely. But I think just having Hornibrook as your quarterback changes things. I mean, that slant and go with maybe any other college quarterback in the state of Florida is a 70-yard touchdown. He just can't get it there. So Terry has to catch it like a punt. There are limitations. And so I think it does change a little bit the way you call a game, or the way where you want him to be looking, what his first read is on these plays. But Riles is a good offensive coordinator. He'll figure out something. He'll figure out some way to move the ball. And I just think if they shut down the wild cam, I don't know what other options you have. Where do you go to after that? It might just be Willie talking to talk because it's a Monday, and he wants Miami to have to plan all week for Akers at quarterback. But I got the impression, man, they're going to go to it even more.
He said it. He's like, yeah, we're going to use it. He's like, we have to. He's like, you saw it. It worked.
Yeah, obviously we're going to go to it. But he also said that things like, yeah, and Akers is going to have to be able to throw the ball. Like, I don't think it's just this isn't a novelty thing. I think this is a big part of their game plan against a very good defense because they know they can't block it up normally. If they just put Hornibrook and Akers back there and they know Hornibrook's not keeping it, they can't block those guys. And Akers is going to have a tough time finding holes.
They blocked them last year, though.
Not really. I mean, I don't think Akers did much of anything. It was a weird game.
They scored offensively 20-something points. I mean,
they scored 20 points, but I think like they hit a couple. Like Gavin made a nice catch. I think they hit a couple big plays. But I don't think Akers had like a –
No, he didn't. No, he didn't run against – I mean, no one ran against anybody.
But I think Florida State had less than 300 yards of offense in that game. It wasn't like they were –
because they started turning the ball over in the second half. But they were able to –
Yeah, they had some nice drives where they got some first downs, and they were robbed of a 50-yard touchdown, which would have won them the game. I hope they go back to that play again. They should run that play 9 times. And I mean, holy moly, that thing still angers
We should
me.
have asked Willie that if he was aware that a similar play happened and they actually like is there a Willie Taggart rule that we're not aware of?
Yeah, where they just won't even buzz down for something like
because
that.
Because they did buzz down when
I know.
Pitt,
it was the Pitt Syracuse game. Yeah, it was returned. It was reversed into a touchdown. Just bizarre. Just bizarre. Same thing with the Virginia Tech game last year on Naquan's touchdown. How in the world did they not buzz down for that? What are you doing up there, man? For real. If it's close at all, especially a huge play like that, what view did you see that you're like, wait, let me take another look at that? How would you not take another look at that? It was literally right down the line as a lateral. Yeah. Anyway, I don't get worked up again.
And then they buzz down when there's just the absolute hint of targeting, maybe. You know?
Or they'll buzz down to see if the ball's at the 23 when it should be at the 21.5. On a 2nd and 2 play.
The targeting stuff is crazy to me because they'll stop play like, what are they reviewing? They're like, the previous play is under review for targeting. You're like, it's not targeting. And then they'll do, and you're like, oh wow, that kind of is close. And you're like, how? Like who saw that? It's crazy because in real time you're like, oh, that didn't look. That was a total football play. And then they're like, we're reviewing it, and you watch, you're like, uh-oh.
I'm pretty much convinced that you could call. It's almost like holding now. I think you could call by the letter of the law targeting on almost every play. Almost every play.
Yeah, you're being dramatic.
Telling you, when you look at a tackle in a football game, helmets hit all the time. All the time. That doesn't mean it's targeting. But by the letter of the law, if you're making contact above the head, then they can call it.
Your helmet.
They can call it though. They could. I bet it could be called 15 to 20 times a game if they wanted to. And it's so stupid to eject a kid. Just give them the personal foul. Why do you have to eject them? What are the numbers? Or do we have the data that says that people are targeting less because they don't want to get ejected? Because I don't think most of the targeting calls are intentionally targeted anyway. You know what I mean? It's accidental.
They need to give it a different term because like targeting is you're intentionally and it's like, no, man, like he was just trying to, and I get it.
Targeting puts intent into the play.
Exactly.
The word targeting, the verb means to target. Like I'm doing that intentionally, and they're not. They're just not. And so the NFL has it right in the sense that you don't get ejected from it, but you don't get ejected for it. But it's a penalty,
though.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you should get. The head coach should be fined every time one of his kids targets.
Or is the defensive coordinator?
Well, head coach, he makes more money.
Okay.
So and then that could go to some charity that the ACC wants to give money to.
Tinder Tuesday story for you real quick.
Oh, I can't wait. And then I got a Brady story.
Let's go on a high note. I'll go first.
Yeah, I was going to say, all right, I can't wait. I can't wait for this.
So I went out Friday night to a local establishment which had that Halloween costume party I told you about, or Halloween costume.
Sure, right. You saw the Game of Thrones guy, right?
He was here. Tormund was here in Tallahassee on Friday night. I swear to you. I mean, it was a $500 cash prize. I don't even know if he profited because the costume he wore, he had to have purchased from Game of Thrones. Like, he had to know the set designer.
Right.
I mean, and the guy himself looked just like Tormund, the likable wildling guy, the redheaded dude, flame-haired. But he didn't have a big woman with him, though.
Right.
He should have had a big, tall blonde. That would have been awesome. But, I mean, look, absolutely like him. Every time they called him up, they had like a lineup, and he had a horn filled with like beer, and he would just kind of keep shaking it, and beer's coming out of the horn. It was great. The runner-up was a young lady who dressed up as, I guess, a Mortal Kombat character, but it was pretty impressive, the makeup. It was like, I can't even describe it. And then she had the head of a mannequin. It was creepy.
All right. Wow. People are going all out.
Yeah, people do, but people love. I feel Halloween is on the up. Halloween is a stock that's just never going to come down. It's Apple, it's Amazon, it's Google, it's something. Everyone loves Halloween, and it's not losing momentum.
I was telling Brady when we were driving through my neighborhood up there last week, and I've always said this, and I've said this on headlines too. I've always felt this. People that are too into Halloween.
Yeah. There's a little
something there, man. Little something off. Yeah. The people that like early September start getting their Halloween stuff off. Okay, you're not quite right.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to like, oh, the kids are coming. Let me get the candy out. We'll have a pumpkin. Yeah. You don't need a graveyard of death with hands coming out and smoke everywhere. And you got there's one house in my neighborhood where I don't even know what movie it's from. They have a window up top, and it's just a little girl, creepy ass girl. Just mannequin of a creepy girl just sitting there. And I've literally driven by it 2 or 3 times and go, because you forget that it's there. And it's just the way it's lit, backlit, it is horrifying. So those people stay away from. And I would also maybe go to the costume realm too. Like, how long did my man or my woman there, how much money and how much time did they devote to those costumes?
The makeup that the young lady wore, I don't even know how she was drinking. Like, she had these like stitches and things going over her mouth, and the makeup blended into like her normal makeup and color contacts and this whole outfit get up. It was just,
she didn't even win.
This is second, and she was like pointing at him when they were like, all right, one more time for number 1 cheer, and she kept pointing at him like she knew she wasn't going to win.
Well, the problem there, let's be honest, it's Game of Thrones versus Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Like, you're already the well's already been poisoned. Everybody loves Game of Thrones and knows that character. Mortal Kombat was a game I played when I had a lot of hair.
But the young lady.
So anyway, to your Tinder,
appealed to the.
I understood. I got you.
I didn't even look at the date I was with was the one who pointed out, and she was like, "Look at her." I'm like, "All right." Well, it's not a happy ending. There's never happy endings. That's why Tinder keeps going.
Are there ever really happy endings on Tinder in general?
So we'd been talking for like a week or so, and finally got her number, and hey, let's go out, grab a drink or whatever.
What do you mean finally got her number? Don't you text her?
Well, no, you're on Tinder.
Oh, you're on the app.
Yeah, on the app. Okay. And the thing is, so this is the thing.
You don't know the next step is a phone number.
Right.
Oh, I got you.
98. Okay. I'm not even kidding. 98% of the time, they initiate giving me the number. I never ask for the number.
Right.
Because like when I do ask for the number, then it's always kind of like, well, I'm just like. Well,
and it can come off as pushy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the crazy thing, it always works out great. They're like, are you gonna ever ask me for my number or what? And then you're like, okay, can I have your number? So it works out perfect. She gets to win, you win. It's a happy ending, all the way around. A lot of filter. Every photo she had was filtered.
Oh boy.
And they were all selfies. And I'm like, man, it breaks my rule, and it breaks the Corey Clark corollary about the selfies. You don't like this. You're right. Like, you should have a couple photos, a couple friends.
We want to know that you can
you're social.
You can interact normally within society, and you have some friends.
Yes. There was a bikini photo, which ironically enough, like I'm not all that into kind of a thing. I'm like, I want a good girl.
Yeah, but you're talking about all this stuff. You still met her.
I did.
So this stuff really didn't play a part in it.
Your guys got to get off the couch.
Right, sure.
Got to get off the bench, man. Got to get back out there. Got to take some reps. And I mean, she looked really good in the photos. I'm like, well, there's filters on them, She walks up, bombshell, smoke show, top 3 most attractive women I've ever been on a date with. Just gorgeous. 35.
Right.
Never married, no kids. I mean, just
She's checking all the boxes.
We're looking good. We're chugging along all right.
Noticing hot women dressed up in
pointing
costume.
it out to me like, hey, look at that. I'm like, hey, I don't want to look at that. If you want me to look at it, I'll look at it. And during the conversation the week prior, we kind of talking about how she got up here or whatever, and she's only been here for like a year. And how do you like it? She's like, well, it's okay. And I'm like, it'll grow on. You give Tallahassee some time, blah blah blah. And everything's going off good. Getting drinks, we're laughing. Everything's just trending well.
Did you tell her what you did?
Yeah. She knows.
Does she know about this?
She knows I do a podcast. Yeah.
Did she ask about me? Did she act like she didn't know who I was? Because that's the play, ladies.
Right.
If you're ever on a date with Aslan, just don't even act like you care about. Don't
Corey.
talk about me all the time.
Throws me into a complete.
Yeah, because he gets really defensive
down
and starts wondering if you're just with him to at least meet me someday.
Yeah. When I go to Zaxby's, I was like, "Where's Mr. Corey? Where's Mr. Corey coming with you?" And I'm like, "Oh, one of these days." Everywhere I go, so like, "Where's Corey?"
Well, right, man. Hey, so it's Friday night. That won't be the case.
Yeah. So
anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Everything's going pretty cool, and you start talking big picture stuff, and you're like, "Oh," she's like, "Yeah, I want to start a family." Something. You're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. All this stuff's going good," and then it's just like, then you start asking, "How was your work today?" And she was like, pretty good, but actually about that. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I put my notice in. She's like, she's like, I'm going to move. She's like, I decided today, like, I'm going to move.
Oh.
And I'm like,
that's not good.
I'm like, womp, womp, womp,
yeah.
Womp, womp, womp. Yeah. So that was that.
So
and then the night kept going on. It was fine. We had a couple drinks.
Theoretically, though, she's here for at least another couple weeks, right?
Yeah, but what am I going to do, man? What is that
she
do?
might
What is that gonna do for me?
If you're around and something sparks, and it turns into that kindling turns into a roaring forest fire, she might not want to leave.
Nah. Yeah, I appreciate that hopeless romanticism that burns.
Like, what's she doing tonight?
I don't know.
We'll see. There's two things. Either y'all fall madly in love. Well, these are the only two options I can foresee. Either fall madly in love, and it's going to be a great story that you tell your grandkids about how Becky was about to run. I'm assuming that's her name.
Correct.
Right? That Becky was about to go back to Miami or wherever she's from, and instead she fell so deeply in love with you that she took back her job, and she stayed in Tallahassee for the next dozen years of her life, and y'all raised a family together. Or it's just going to be fun for the next week and a half with no strings. Okay. Either way, I feel like, isn't that what Tinder's all about? Is no strings?
No, yeah, there's some of it out there. This is my theory, and then we'll go to Brady. My theory is I don't think anybody uses these apps, whether it's Tinder or any of them, just to, quote, hook up. I think it's either they don't find you attractive enough or they don't think your personality is cool enough to where they want to date you. And they're like, well, I'll go and have some drinks with you and have fun.
Right.
That's like you're good enough for that, but like you obviously are not attractive enough for me to want to constantly date you.
But what was your vibe with her? Could it have been something where you wanted to,
or
just
during?
The whole night? Is this something you'd want to be?
Yeah,
doing
like we got along
two or three nights a week.
Yeah, it was a good banter, like intelligent banter back and forth. That was another thing too. Like when we were messaging, there was a whole bunch of typos. And I'm like, oh gosh, she's probably not going to be intelligent. But no, she's smart.
Just has fat fingers.
Yeah, just quick typer.
Okay, sure. Did you ask her about that?
I did. I'm like, you have a couple typos. She's like, yeah. She's like, I try to type really quick or something like that. I'm like, okay. I'm just making sure.
All right.
Because
she was intelligent.
Yeah, she was.
Intelligent, bombshell. Only going to be here for another week and a half.
No, never married, no kids, like clean title.
And I'm telling you, if it just catches, you never know when it's just going to catch, and then she's here for the duration.
These things don't happen for me. But what does happen is good stuff to good people. No better person out there than Brady Clark.
Oh, yeah. So I meant to do this yesterday. I just want to give Brady a shout-out because I talk about his shortcomings on a baseball field. And that day he went 0 for 9 with 8 strikeouts, which he went 0 for 5 with 5 Ks in a Little League baseball game that I probably
it was inconsequential to the outcome of the game.
They still lost, but I can't imagine another kid going over. You don't get 5 at-bats in a Little League game. And he got 5 at-bats and struck out all 5 times. That just never happens. So anyway.
Ump was squeezing him, though.
Sure, yeah. No, he was swinging at everything. That was the bit of the issue. So that was awful. That was rock bottom. And he was really upset and really frustrated. His dad was too a little bit. But he's worked really hard that was 3 weeks ago maybe. He worked really hard. Really trying to get better and do what he's supposed to do. Last tournament, I only think he got one hit, but he put the ball in play every time and hit into some bad luck, honestly. Hit some balls really hard. And then this last tournament, which was the last one of the season, my man had 5 hits and 7 at-bats.
There we go.
A couple of walks, and hit a ball off the fence, which he's never done before.
All right.
Which he's, only
Checking
one.
up that OPS.
Yeah, all of it, man. And it was just good to see because he did work hard. And he got a bit of a tongue lashing on Friday night because he had a rec ball game on Friday night, and he struck out twice, which is fine. He took 6 strikes. He didn't swing the bat once. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you can hit. I promise you can hit. And so after I got on him a little bit, well, probably a little more than a little bit, I did call him back. He's like, look, dude, I just want you to know that I love you. I love you more than anything. And if you strike out for the rest of your life, I don't care. But I wish you at least in baseball. Sure. In love and life, yeah, we want doubles and triples for the rest of the time. We want an extra base hitter. But in baseball, that's fine. But I wish you believed in yourself as much as I believed in you. And I wish you had you need to have confidence because you really are a good hitter. And I told him, his mom didn't hear this, but I told him last week, I was like, man, when you get in the batter's box, and I guess I'll censor myself here.
Give him encouragement.
No, I'll censor myself to what I say. It's like, man, you need to go up there and say, I'm Brady effing Clark, except I didn't use effing.
Really?
And you can't get me out.
Yeah, there we go, Dad.
Just say that to yourself. And so Saturday, after he had a couple of good hits before the Sunday game where they won their championship, which was cool, I said, hey, man, what were you telling yourself when you went up to bat? And Shanna was in the car and she heard it. She's like, well, I told him, you go up there and say, I can do it. I'm up there and I can do this. And I said, no, Brady, what are you're supposed to say, I'm Brady effing Clark, and you can't get me out. And Shanna's like, hey, you don't talk like that, half joking. Yeah. But Brady had a big smile on his face. He's like, well, Mama, actually, that is kind of what I was telling myself. I'm like, yeah man, that's exactly what you do. That's exactly what you do. Have confidence. So it was really cool to see. And I wrote this on Facebook, not that I'm on Facebook much anymore, but baseball is such a good teacher of adversity and failure and how to overcome it. And you have to dust yourself off. Man, he lived a nightmare. Nobody strikes out 5 times in a game. Nobody does that. He lived it. And then he came out the other side, and 2 weeks later is having the best tournament of his life because he worked hard. And it's really good to see. And hopefully it's a lesson that he can apply to other things throughout life. Yeah. But if he just keeps hitting balls off the wall, I'm cool with that too.
Heck
so,
yeah.
Good work, Brady. Good work, Brady. I brought it up when you were terrible in that one tournament. Didn't hit well. But, so I'd bring it up when you did really well. So I was proud of the way he turned it around and handled failure.
And now he's got a whole offseason to build on that and use that momentum to carry him in his training.
Exactly right. Well, now we're into basketball.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes.
Hey, man, multi-sport athlete, man. It's
That's
all
what
about
he does.
competing.
That's what he does. He really wants to play football, too.
It's happening, Shannon. Stop fighting
Well, she really doesn't want it. I also feel a little, and I know we'll go. It's been way too long to show. But it's kind of hypocritical of me to not allow my son to play football when I make my living watching other people's sons play football. So I told him, I made him go watch a few games that his friends played. I'm like, go watch a game and make sure you want to do it. And he's like, yeah, Daddy, I really want to do it. I'm like, well, look, it's not just solely my decision. We have to talk it over with your mom. But if you still want to do it next July, we'll really talk about it. Because it's nothing.
I think flag. I think we should let him play flag.
Well, he's played flag,
high school,
but he wants to play tackle football, and I don't really have an issue with it. Other than, man, I just would be really worried about the way he tackles, because he's Brady, and he just sees something and wants to go do it real quick and has no impulse control, and I don't want him ducking his head. That's the thing that worries me the most.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, yeah, he might break an ankle or break a foot. I mean, kids break bones all the time. I worry about his head and his neck and concussions because he wouldn't be tackling properly. But other than that, so we'll see how that goes. But obviously baseball is his future. Yeah. He might not ever make another out again. So that was good to see. I'm glad he finished on a positive note. Good work, Brady. You're the best son I've ever had.
That was a great show. He's Corey Maslin. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant presented by Zaxby's. Talk to you tomorrow.
If you want an adventure, you could climb a mountain or ride dune buggies through the desert. Or you could just head to your neighborhood Zaxby's. Introducing the Smokehouse Cheddar Barbecue and Southwest Chipotle Filet Sandwich Meals. They're brand new and they'll take your taste buds to wild and exciting new places. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, and they're both available for a limited time. Only at your neighborhood Zaxby's. And don't miss Jumanji: The Next Level, only in theaters.